My name is Black Pedro, stand-up comedian based out of Los Angeles for the past 20 years. You can catch me Monday through Friday during the time of COVID on our show Savage AF, me and comedian Shang. We do it Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We talk politics, social issues, and we kind of have an I don't give a fuck style about what we do. So that's how we get in there, y'all. And that's what I am. I hit the stages live. I'm an actor as well. I do decently commercially. And then, and then we have the show that we host. But right now, I basically just sit in the guest room in my mother's house. I usually don't have artistic breasts on my wall. But this is my mom, so I'm sheltering with my mom in Vegas during this time to help her out and make sure that, she doesn't have to touch anything or leave the house unnecessarily. So
hey, that's a good son.
That's I'm a better child than my sister is. I've always said that, and we like to remind her of that.
Throw your sister under the bus.
Oh yeah, oh yes, definitely. But yeah, that's me. That's my story, and I've been plant-based for about this is my 5th month or so.
Okay, well that kind of segues into that question. Like, what made you go plant-based?
Well, I'm big in cutting out the middleman. I went to school out on the East Coast, and then kind of started doing stand-up while I was in school. And by the time it came time for me to graduate, it was like New York, LA, New York, LA, and I wanted to act as well. And I knew that television and film was out in LA, and in that sense only, New York is kind of a middleman. Like a lot of comics eventually have to move out if they want to take that next step. So that being said, I read a couple of articles in passing, and to be honest, the documentary Game Changer kind of just dropped a few facts for me that were like, oh, well, so like the idea that the animals we eat are kind of a middleman to protein, and that there's plenty of protein in plants and vegetables and fruit. Kind of blew my mind. So I was like, well, let me give this a shot. I had already cut out a lot of red meat and a lot of dairy. So I was just kind of off of that anyways. And so the transition wasn't too hard. I do miss seafood a lot, but I think I found some solutions to that recently that might save my life.
So there wasn't any like health issues or anything like that prior to, or it was just something like
no. My last doctor's appointment before I made the switch to plant-based, all my levels were fine. I was slightly vitamin D deficient, but he said my heart levels were actually at a place where my heart was protecting itself, I guess. So I was, I'm in a good place. But I just thought, long-term, preventatively, this could only help. I didn't see any negatives to it really, other than cravings. But,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so far, like, what do you think is like the positive so far since you've been on this for like 5 months?
I think it takes less to get full. If you're eating a lot of raw vegetables or even cooked, there's a lot of fiber in there that fills you up pretty quickly, or at least me it does. So I was a little surprised by that. I didn't lose a lot of weight. I'm not a big guy anyway, so there's a little bit of concern about that. But I just kind of like burned a little of the muffin top on the side one way, kind of naturally, and that was cool. So and it just honestly hasn't been that hard. During the lockdown, I feel like I was getting into a cycle of the same old recipes. So I found a few new things that have kind of got me excited, and I'm just gonna challenge myself to keep finding new recipes to try, especially now that I have more time to cook and prepare food.
So what are you cooking? What are you making?
Man, I found this that lady Tabitha Brown, I guess. So I did her spicy tuna
With
roll
chickpeas?
recipe with carrots.
Oh, okay.
And man, it like I cannot get enough of that. Like, cause sushi was something I've missed. I ordered like some avocado rolls last weekend,
Uh.
but this gave me that feeling of meat, and it's really just some chopped up carrots. But and
It's
and this,
seasoned. It's seasoned chopped up carrots.
yeah, for sure. And it was my first time using the nori furiyaki, and that is a game changer for me right there. Speaking of game changers, that just to bring that seafood flavor into the palate, because like I said earlier, I really miss seafood of most of all, like shellfish.
Yeah.
That I was big on that. So, but there are ways to kind of get all of those flavors and textures if you really need them.
Oh,
So,
exactly. I mean, the main thing is really like seasoning your food. So
yeah,
get you some dill.
yeah. So there's that. I've fallen in love with that. My mom found a black bean and chickpea salad that's really great. I discovered the brand Just. So like the Just eggs or whatever. I was missing eggs a bit. So not ODing on that, but yeah, definitely feeling those egg cravings every now and then. And yeah, and other than that, a lot of like veggie burrito stuff and veggie taco stuff, and which I can get caught in that cycle because
Right.
I like it so much that but then I realize, like, I think I've had 13 burritos this week. I should probably stop. Let me go to the burrito chart here. Yep. So yeah, just trying to maintain variety has been a challenge, but also I'm trying to make it into a fun thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So wait,
one more positive I really want to touch on, sorry, was my energy levels.
Oh yeah.
Like there hasn't been I don't get those dips after meals that I used to when I
The
ate meat.
itis.
The itis, as they call it. Them ribs were so so yeah, I just feeling not only full but energized off of not as much food or healthier food.
Right.
Has been a plus.
So before, okay, so you did mention so you started this before Outside closed down?
Yeah, I
Okay,
sure did.
so how did you handle like social situations like prior to, like when you were out or anything, or?
Yeah. I typically would do a little something at the house first if I was going to a restaurant that I knew wasn't a vegan restaurant. Fix myself something first, a salad or a burrito, something. And then most places you can eat the sides or the salad or something like that, so fries if I'm feeling desperate. But not preach to anybody, but just let them know, yeah, I've changed my diet, blah, blah, blah. Don't, I'm not trying to change where we go to eat or anything like that. Take care of myself before or after if I have to. But generally, I found that most places, especially in Los Angeles, have some kind of option.
Oh, yeah.
Even this new Italian spot that opened up down the street from me, it's like the only restaurant that's not Ethiopian in Little Ethiopia. And but I was reading the fine print on their menu, and they had vegan cheese, so they can make a vegan pizza, which they did for me, and they can sub with some of their pasta dishes. So it was cool to see those options available for sure.
So what have your like friends and family members, all them, that said since you changed your diet, what have the responses been?
Pretty supportive. I mean, luckily, again, living in a place like Los Angeles, it is very friendly to that. And I think by now people are used to the concept of, if not doing it, having a friend that is, at least one. And, you know, I used to even think it was sort of a crazy, you know, radical diet concept to like just not eat meat.
Right.
But, and to be honest, it's shameful to say, but way back in the day when Taco Bell first came out with the 7-layer burrito, you know, I tried one or whatever, and I loved it. And I ate those things for years, and it took me a long time to realize that there was no meat in it. You know what I mean? I was like, wait a minute, what? And of all things, that was kind of like the first thing that it really dawned on me that you could eat something that's delicious that doesn't have to have meat in it or whatever. So,
Right.
So it used to seem like this radical change or whatever, but friends, family, all of that, they've been really supportive. You know, nobody's pushing anything on me because I'm not pushing anything on them. You know,
Right.
It's not like I came back after this like slapping burgers out of people's hands, like, you know, the cow is killing you, like the evil, filthy cow. Like, I didn't get on that pulpit or whatever. But you know, just staying in my lane because, yeah, it's all a personal choice.
Right. So is like your mom eating some of the food, or is she trying any of it?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, I get her into the Beyond Burgers when it's burger time and we feel like that. Like I said, she found this bean and chickpea salad, and she doesn't even like black beans, but she tears this thing up. Like, I have to fight her for the last scoop. But she's also a pretty healthy eater. She's going on 73 this year. No health problems really.
Oh, wow, good.
And you know, yeah, she not a lot of red meat for her either, but she does eat meat, chicken, fish.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
okay, my sister is the biggest problem. She's doing the paleo thing now, but she's been such a sugar junkie her whole life. She's the only person I preach to because even before I made this diet change, you know, I was eating a pretty healthy and balanced diet. But my sister was the one, you know, late into her 20s, probably in her 30s, early 30s, she was still putting sugar on her frosted flakes. It used to disgust me. Like, I used to be like, what is wrong with you, yo? So, you know, she's a sugar junkie, still has a Starbucks kind of addiction. But I think even she's starting to come around to see that, you know, it'd be better to kind of nip some of these dietary things in the bud right now.
Right. I mean, because sugar really is like the number one drug.
It's a beast, and it's in everything. Even like the little sriracha sauce I try and get or something like that. It's like it may be farther down in the list, which kind of is kind of better, I guess. But you know, the reality is it's in almost everything. Like, you almost have to go bite grass just to not have sugar in your diet, you know. You got to work hard for it. And that's processed sugar, right?
Right,
like,
it's processed sugar, especially like high fructose.
Yeah, you know, fruit sugar is better for you.
Right.
But yeah, so I have had a lot of support from the family. There hasn't, and friends, you know, it's not that hard, you know. I went down south to my buddy's place in Tampa. This was like right before everything locked down, and you know, they're barbecuing or whatnot, and I just got, you know, some bean burgers and, you know, whatever, you know, same old thing. No big deal. Everything else was vegetables anyway, so.
Right. So so do you think there's a connection between like our health and our communities when it comes to the food? Like, is it connected?
Oh, I mean, yeah, for sure. You know, when you look at you know, I grew up in the on the east side of Detroit, and that's one of those places where you don't see Detroit in particular. When I was growing up, didn't at a certain point, once the economics kind of hit rock bottom, didn't have any you know, brand name, you know, national chain grocery stores in the city limits. You had to go, you know, way outside to suburbs to get that level or whatever. And then there was some like mom and pop stuff, but yeah, the quality, the option, the access to good food was not there. There's a lot of fast food available, always, a lot of liquor store, corner store with the fried
Like food
chicken.
deserts.
Yeah, like, I mean, there was food around, yeah, but not like good food deserts. No, like, there's plenty of food around. Like Detroit's a great food town, but not healthy. It's Midwest. Like we eat. Coney is our big thing, so it's like these chili cheese dogs. You know what I mean?
Man.
Like that. While I miss stuff like that, just flavor wise, like when you look back, it's like that was just death inside of a bun with heart attack on top, and then they sprinkled in some diabetes, and then chopped up a little bit of hypertension, and then you know what I mean. And it was like all these conditions on conditions in that food. So yeah, it's definitely linked in the way that we're clustered typically into the hood, and these options are typically not available. The Whole Foods, the Trader Joe's type stuff, or even farmers markets and things like that. While Detroit did have options like that, it wasn't citywide. Like there was a big farmers market that was on the east side of the city that my mother used to take us to all the time. Like we grew up eating healthy, and my mother's side is Trini from Trinidad and Tobago. So there's a lot of veggies in that diet anyways, you know what I mean? And, a lot more chicken and fish type stuff than heavy beef and steak. So, we grew up eating pretty healthy, but there are a lot of places in the city where all you got is, Popeyes, Church's Chicken, McDonald's, Burger King. You know what I mean? Or some, like the local corner store, the convenience store would, have pizza or, fried chicken themselves or stuff like that might taste good, make you feel good, but wasn't good for you. And that's why we have, high rates of blood pressure. That's partly why this pandemic is hurting us harder in our neighborhoods right now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, this goes with anybody though. There's a bunch of fat white Americans who eat the same fried chicken and biscuits and gravy and all of that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just us. So anybody who puts, the right or wrong things in their body, your body will reflect that. But it's the lack of options in our neighborhood and the lack of access, when there are no options immediately around you,
right,
that really hurt us,
All right, so do you feel that there's like this, okay, there's this whole thing that, if you're vegan, plant-based, whatever, that your grocery bill is high. Do you think that's true?
No, I was actually noticing how it's been cheaper. And what I do is I go more often now because, I'm buying more fresh veggies and stuff. So I'm buying less bulk stuff that's in boxes and trying to avoid processed stuff as much as possible. But, veggies are pretty cheap. And like I said, it doesn't, you buy a thing of broccoli, like, I'm going to chop that up. Like, I can't get through a big stalk of broccoli on my own, like that's a lot of, it's a lot of food, right? At once or whatever. A lot of fiber in that. I don't know. I tend to do canned beans as just an easy access go-to thing. And those are pretty cheap. And we're talking like anywhere from 89 cents to $1.20 a can. I don't know. I mean, steak, chicken, especially like crab legs, lobster tails, like, that shit is expensive. So I don't, I guess it depends on where you're shopping. I also tried to hit myself to, and I don't know how valuable this is, but the Dirty Dozen. Oops. Sorry. Did I clock out? Can we hear me?
Zoom is messing up again.
Well, the reason I was trying not to use my my cell phone is because the battery was low, and that was like the little warning, like, hey.
Oh, you gotta charge it? You gotta plug it in?
Well, I still got a little time, but I think we might actually make it through the session. But what was I saying? Yeah, no, I found that the way I shop it seems to be less expensive, or definitely no more expensive. Like for me, how about you?
See, I've been doing this since '08.
Okay,
So
it's like I've been in this.
yeah, so it all depends. Like if you're buying like all this processed vegan food, then of course it's gonna be expensive.
Right.
But nah, and then you also got to know where to shop.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, you also got to know how to know where to go and stuff like that. But yeah, we buy in bulk. You know, you buy the beans and rice and all that stuff in bulk. Buy
Yeah.
the lentils in bulk,
Yeah.
chickpeas. But
My
yeah, we don't.
chia seeds and
Yeah,
quinoa. I get that.
all that. Like we don't. We don't buy the whole like vegan processed foods all the time. So like none of the vegan burgers. If we do, that's just like burger night or something like that, or the pizzas and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But it's not something we eat every day. So
Right.
that could be where the bill is expensive because you're buying all the processed foods. But if you're
Exactly.
cooking at home, nah, it's
No.
not.
No, certainly not. I mean, vegetables are cheap relative to an omnivore diet where you
Oh
buy in
right,
steak and chicken breasts and things like that. It's definitely cheaper. And
right,
like I
and
said,
then okay,
it doesn't take much for me either.
right, and then there's stuff you can make out of this whole plant-based lifestyle that you're just like, oh wait, hold up, that kind of tastes like chicken. Like
Hmm.
there's these oyster mushrooms. Oh,
Yeah. Oh
it's
yeah. No,
it's
I love
it's just all
oyster
kind of stuff.
mushroom, or like some of the stuff they do with jackfruit,
Oh,
which
oh, jackfruit.
I'm
That
like,
right
oh,
there.
okay, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, because jackfruit soaks up all the flavors. So whatever
You
seasonings
put
and
on it.
whatever you put in there, it soaks it up. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
jackfruit is definitely a substitute for meat.
yeah, for
So
sure. But
okay, so
but
oh, go ahead.
but I was also surprised to see some of these process substitutions and how close they are
Uh-huh.
to so that if you really do, like you said, want that burger or that pizza, that pepperoni pizza or whatever, or those buffalo wings,
Right.
there's an option out there that'll get you through it.
Yeah, which is, the majority of it's either seitan or soy or something like that. But
Yeah.
again, those are all in moderation because
Yeah, of course. Like I said, just like you shouldn't be eating chicken McNuggets, daily anyways. Especially as a vegan, it doesn't help if you're just going to a processed plant-based version of that daily.
exactly. Okay, so what advice would you give someone who wanted to make that change?
Um, you know, I'm a just do it type person. Like, go for it. You know what I mean? And if you feel the need to really really fall back, then do that too. But if you really don't feel if like jumping in both feet sounds so scary and so daunting, then I guess one thing I had done was go vegetarian like 3 days a week. That's what I was doing before this whole change, just as a transition away from. And I wasn't trying to necessarily transition away from meat, but just as a way to cut back.
Mm-hmm.
So I was already doing that. So I would suggest start there. Like pick, 1 to 3 days a week where you just don't eat meat and see what those days are like versus the days you do. Um, but you don't have to jump in all the way necessarily. And you also don't have to beat yourself up if you have a craving, or if you cheat on it. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Right,
I don't
just
I don't think I don't think there's a vegan hell where where they're gonna be like, let me smell your breath. Aha, Wendy's, I got you. Yeah. So just you forgive yourself sometimes, and yeah, and that's it. But going plant based is the tough part. Is the consideration of, oh, it's not just meat, it's animal products. Like any dairy, even things like caramel, which have, you know, butter and cream and stuff like that, or milk chocolate, you know, it's
Right.
like, damn. Just, you know, there are, you have to be more considerate
Mm.
and read labels, or, you know, just focus on going raw. But other than that, just give it a shot. Work it in incrementally in your life, you know. Rome wasn't built in a day. But do try it, you know. Don't sit back like, I could, like, that's one thing that annoys me, is when people are like, I could never do without that. And it's like, well, once you tell yourself that you can't do something, that you can never do this or never do that, then you're right, because you've already actually told yourself not to even try. And at that point, then, yeah, you'll never achieve that what you say you're not going to.
Right.
You know, you only set out to do the things that you say you're going to do. So tell yourself you're going to do it one time and see how it works for today, you know.
Exactly. So do you think there ever be a period of time when you know, people of color, the majority of them go vegan, like eliminate meat and dairy from their diets?
Well, another documentary I should mention that you know, set a light bulb off for me, but I had already made the commitment. I was already in the plant-based, you know, diet like a week or two, but somebody hit me to this, was the Invisible Vegan.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's about, you know, Black veganism. And,
Right.
you know, one of the points they made were that a lot of African ancestors were, you know, of a Muslim faith anyways. So they were eating, you know, vegan or vegetarian as it was. So it's actually part of our ancient history is eating plant-based. That, you know, as many parts of our culture got taken away from us, here in America, that got changed up. And then we end up on the other end of the most horrible scale, which is, you know, and this is a thing I hear from Black people, is like our separation anxiety from soul food. You know, but if we really understand the idea of why we ate chitlins, or, you know, why we put so much salt on our food, it's because these were the worst part. Why did you batter and fry it? Because it was the worst part of the animal that was left over, and you're just trying to make it edible, you know?
Right. Seasoning
It
it.
tastes like something. But we you know, we're not necessarily in those times. While we do have these food deserts and whatnot, we have to start being conscious about options and trying to at least integrate healthier options into our diet. But, you know, yeah, I'm hoping we can go back to where we started with our diet, and recognizing that all of this processed stuff, and I'm, you know, I love it. I love animals. I didn't do this because, you know, I feel so bad. I'm like, if we don't eat the cows, the wolves will, and they're not gonna be humane about it either. But, you know, the way that we process and over farm, and you know, the fact that now, because restaurants aren't open, they have to slaughter animals because, well, obviously they had too many animals and they were overproducing. You know, the way that we produce meat and the meat industry is something that I'm against, and also didn't want to contribute to. But the separation anxiety from soul food that I think Black people have is a big thing. You know, this idea that there's just these staple items that we won't be able to eat, but
you can still eat it.
My collard greens are still bomb right now.
Yeah.
My yams are cool as hell right now. You know what I mean? Like, we're still getting that in. Black eyed peas, I am killing.
Exactly.
I am
The
murdering.
mac and cheese.
Yeah, that is quite accomplishable. So yeah, and I had stopped eating fried chicken anyways, and fried foods like that, fried fish and things like that, just because of the fried aspect. So, but, you know, and every now and then we have those cravings. But like I said, if you really, 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 really need that, there are these substitutes out there, or ways you can fake it, even yourself. So it's not unattainable. We don't have to
Right.
separate ourselves from those flavors and from that part of our culture.
And the
And
thing is,
definitely not in lieu of our health, you know.
right. Because the thing is, you originally, when you're born and you're pretty much a vegan anyway,
You
because you're
can't,
nursing and then you don't have any teeth. So what you eating?
yeah, you can't mash up meat anyways.
Right.
You know, our dentistry isn't really carnivorous, right? It's more meant for grinding
Exactly.
herbs and
So
nuts and things like that.
right. So you pretty much was already, when you were born. So you're only introduced to meat to someone introduces it to you.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
so that ends up being like that, and we get into those arguments like, oh, wait, yeah, you got to think about it. Because when you're a baby, you were,
yeah.
like, where were you eating?
There was that one line in Game Changers where it was like, they had this strong man dude who was like one of the strongest guys in the world.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, people are always saying, how could you be as big as an ox and you don't eat meat? And he was like, have you ever seen an ox eat meat? And it's just like, when you think about the really big mammals on this earth, you know, gorillas and ox and bulls and things like that, like they just sit there and graze on leaves all day long.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't bite into each other or hunt other animals or things like that, you know?
Right, because we're the only species that drinks milk from another species. So you don't see a goat drinking milk from a cow.
Yeah.
We're the only ones.
Yeah.
So, okay, so okay, well, don't really know like your your relationship situation, but if you are in a relationship or if you're not, is that for that person to be plant-based, is that you have to or you don't?
I'm single, so you know it's whatever. You know, ain't nobody putting onion rings on these fingers. So no, but I would imagine it could be tough. Depending on, you know, if somebody has been a lifelong vegan or plant-based, and I do say plant-based because I do still consume honey. That was just a little too extreme for me, and I do use leather products and things like that. But if somebody had been in that lifestyle for a long time and was with somebody who wasn't, then they might have less issues with being, you know, cravings or temptations and things like that. But they could also be more preachy and,
Right.
you know, a little bit more, you know, looking for commitment to that lifestyle from their partner. I think it's like with anything, you just have to know who your partner is, you know, and understand what that's about and what those limits are and how they're, you know, who they are, basically, you know. Don't try and change this person.
So you're okay with it though. So if you met someone who wasn't vegan, you'll be all right with it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to preach this to anybody. You know, it while I think everybody would benefit from it, it's just one of those. Say it again. It's just one of those things. Like, it's just one of those things where it's a very personal decision.
Oh, okay.
You know, that's all. So I'm not worried about. I would want them to be as healthy as they were. You know, if they were
right.
If they were putting sugar on donuts and then putting syrup on that and calling it breakfast, I'd be like, listen, I'd like to be with you for more than a year.
So if you're doing the sugar thing, it's a no deal. Nah, we can't.
Well, I mean, at a certain point, I'd have to question: am I dating a 17-year-old? Like, how old is this person? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. My sweet tooth kind of naturally has waned, anyways. So I don't have huge sugar cravings anymore. And that's been for a while now, probably 15 years. Every now and then I get into it, but I really know it's not a thing for me. But yeah, at a certain point, I'm like, I mean, you come on, like that's ridiculous. Like, You're gonna have a forced donut right now. Like, come on, what are you doing? Are you throwing up in the bathroom? Like, what are you doing? Come on. Like, come on, don't do that to yourself. Like, so yeah, I think you want to see some responsible decisions around every aspect of your partner's life, and not, and nobody's perfect, so you can't expect that, but you want to see some financial responsibility, right? And some moral responsibility and some emotional responsibility, and, some dietary responsibility, I think, is a fair thing to look for and ask for in a relationship, while not imposing your views necessarily, right?
Right.
If somebody isn't eating the way you like, find somebody who does. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. It's a balance. So
I'm not gonna fight over kale. That's what I'm not gonna do. We ain't gonna be this bok choy is mine. You wanna eat that burger? That's fine. That's why I'm gonna steam my shit with some tamari, and we good. I got my pad thai noodles. We good. Do you? You're welcome to have some.
Look, and he might like it, so who knows?
Yeah, right.
All right, so what do you have? Anything else like coming up for you? Like, what's coming up?
You gonna ask me that during the pandemic? Yeah. Well, Garbage Day is Tuesday. Looking forward to that. I also like Wednesday because then I gotta go back out and get the garbage cans again. So that's
Hey, at least you getting some exercise.
That's round trip for me, baby. Yeah, we out there getting that sun in. For me, I'm just, I'm trying to stay writing. Like I said, we do have our show Monday through Friday, Savage AF, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's me and at Comedian Shang, at Black Pedro. Follow either one of those on IG Live. But other than that, I'm writing. My management has had me submit for a couple of, just kind of general casting call things. So there's a little bit of acting stuff that is going on, blah, blah, blah. Just trying to stay prepared and in that mix. And,
all right.
and so that when we come out, I have something in my tool shed that I've sharpened up that, didn't just get rusty while we were all locked away, ordering from Grubhub.
Look, you better stop ordering from Grubhub.
No, I actually don't. I was talking about them. I'm talking about you, America. You.
All right. Yeah. Well, okay, yeah. Okay, so all your social medias is your name for all your social media outlets?
I just focus on IG really.
Okay.
Like I'm on Facebook. If you just look up Pedro is funny, all one word on Facebook. That's me too. So you can get me there, but I really try to focus on, my IG and building that up. So Black Pedro, it's spelled Black and then Pedro. And if you can't spell those, then you go to a library first, then you follow me. All right. But Black Pedro.
They can't go to a library. Outside is closed.
A virtual library then, something. Go to the internet web and nets and then look up stuff, words. Look up alphabet. But yeah. At Black Pedro, that's where I am. Get me there.
Okay, that works.
Thank you for having me, yo.
All right, thank you for being on. This was fun.
Yeah. Veggie Connection.
Yeah, this is the Veggie Connection. That's what we do. Check us out. Veggie Connection.
Connecting vegetables. Bringing broccoli and asparagus together.
Look, for life.
For life.